it's time for Corruption Watch, sponsored by Danida in collaboration with our partners Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, that's a GII, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, GACC, Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, ASILA, and multimedia platforms Joy FM and Adom FM. All right, so we've got all kinds of social media handles. On Facebook, it's Corruption Watch Ghana. On Twitter, Corruption Watch or at CW Ghana. On Instagram, it's Corruption Watch _GH. On YouTube, it's Corruption Watch Ghana. The website is corruptionwatchghana.org, and you can call this number for more information: 055 22 000 33. Okay, same number for WhatsApp: 055 22 000 33. The hashtag is Wanamoni and Ghana Abre. And of course, Corruption Watch has 6 segments, but on this episode, we'll feature one of those segments, and it's Anti-Corruption School. So we're going to bring you a resource person who will share their knowledge of anti-corruption cases and issues that we feature on Corruption Watch in order to deepen our understanding of the issue. Today, our guest is Mr. Kofi Asare, Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, which is an education policy research and advocacy organization. He joins us via Zoom. Dr. Asare, good morning to you. Mr. Asare, sorry. Good morning to you. Right, I think we're still connecting to Mr. Kofi Asare. Okay, now we need to break down the 2019 Auditor General's report on accounts of public boards, corporations, and statutory institutions. Okay, before we proceed. Now, this is a 1,134-page report, and it details the state of fiscal accountability, including structures and mechanisms, as at the 31st of December 2019, courtesy of the Corruption Watch team. We're going to first give you an overview of the report, and then we'll delve into the findings in the education anti-corruption school sector. Okay, in the education sector, where the findings were a bit troubling. So, Inimwa is here with the details.
Okay, Kojo. So the Auditor General reports that the total irregularities stood at 5,468,398,431 as at 31st December 2019. Now, this figure is a dramatic 2,461,139,507, or an 81.8% jump from the 2018 total irregularities figure of a little over 3 billion. The Auditor General explains that the surge of 3 billion can mainly be attributed to outstanding debtors' loans recoverable component of the total irregularities in 2019. Indeed, outstanding debtors' loans recoverable constitutes 4,859,727,984, which is 88.7% of total irregularities discovered in 2019. Now, the Auditor General defines outstanding debts loans recoverable as trade debtors, staff debtors, and outstanding loans. The other types of irregularities reported by the Auditor General are cash irregularities, payroll irregularities, procurement irregularities, tax, stores, and contract irregularities. From the Auditor General's report, these 6 forms of irregularities amount to 608,670,000, representing 11.3%. Nonetheless, the levels of payroll irregularities, procurement irregularities, tax, stores irregularities shot up dramatically over the 2018 figures. On the other hand, the level of cash irregularities declined sharply from 2018 levels, whereas contract irregularities declined marginally from the 2018 level. The report also groups the irregularities under sector ministries, indicating the amounts involved. Now, some of these amounts are in dollars, euro, and pound sterling denominations. So, the Corruption Watch team has converted these foreign currencies into the Ghanaian cedi using the exchange rates adopted by the Auditor General. The Auditor General, in arriving at the general totals, converted other currencies into cedis as the prevailing exchange rate of 5.68 to the dollar as at 31st December 2019, 6.37 cedis to the euro, and 7.46 to the pound as at 31st December 2019. Now, after converting the transactional foreign currencies indicated for the various specific ministries, Corruption Watch discovered that the following 5 ministries recorded the highest number of irregularities. 1. The Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations had a total amount of 4,570,175 and 80 Ghana cedis. The types of irregularities include outstanding debtors, loans recoverable, cash irregularities, payroll irregularities, and procurement irregularities. After that, the Ministry of Energy, 473,570 and 814 Ghana cedis. Also, pretty much the same thing: outstanding debtors, loans, payroll irregularities, tax irregularities, stores irregularities. Now, the Ministry of Education stood at 179,849,227. Also, cash irregularities, payroll, procurement, tax, stores, and contract irregularities. The Ministry of Trade and Industry stood at 111,704,000, and the Ministry of Works and Housing stood at 60,751,000. Also, loans recoverable, payroll irregularities, and procurement irregularities. So let's focus on the Education Ministry. Now, the public boards, corporation, and statutory institutions under the Ministry of Education were found to have engaged in all the categories of financial irregularities classified by the Auditor General. The total amount for these irregularities is 179,849,227, representing 3.29% of the overall irregularities. Now, if you add the 23 million captured in the Auditor General's report on pre-university educational institutions for the financial year which ended 31st December 2019, it means that a minimum of 203 million Ghana cedis allocated to institutions in the education sector were put to irregular use as at the end of 2019. The 2019 Auditor General report on accounts of public boards, corporations, and statutory institutions indicts institutions such as the University of Cape Coast, the National Board for Professional and Technical Examinations, the National Accreditation Board, the National Council for Tertiary Education, the University of Professional Studies Accra, GIJ, and KNUST. Notably, the Auditor General records a total of 88 million, that's 49% of the education sector irregularities, against the University of Cape Coast and its various colleges and subsidiaries in the 2019 Auditor General report on accounts of public boards, corporation, and statutory institutions. For example, the report says our audits disclosed that the university paid an amount of 113,000, a little over that, to Top Express Freight Handling Limited to clear 3,600 MiFis and 8,000 used SIM chip from KLM Airlines for Bolte Communication Limited, a private company. We, however, noted that after the clearance, Bolte Communications or Bolt Communications took delivery of the goods from the university stores on 20th of August, preventing the university access to the MiFis and the used SIM chips for use. We recommended that the total amount of 113,000 should be recovered from the Communication Limited with interest, failing which the total amount of 113,000 cedis should then be recovered from the Vice Chancellor, Professor Garte Ampia, with interest. In addition, contrary to Regulation 39(2)(c) and (d) of the Financial Administration Regulations, our vouching disclosed that the university made a part payment of 451,000 Ghana cedis to KLEOS Technology for information and communication services without justification. We recommended that KLEOS Technology, the Council, and the University Director of ICT Services, Dr. Regina Jampo Vidoga, should provide evidence that 20,000 students and officers of the university indeed did use the KLEOS service. the basis of the invoice and payment of 451,000 Ghana cedis to KLEOS Technology, failing which all payments to that company should stop, and the amount, which is $100,000, recovered from the company, the council, and the Director of ICT Services, Dr. Regina Jampo Vidoga. There's more. Now, the Auditor General further stated that, contrary to Section 16.1 of the Conditions of Service for Senior Members of Public Universities of Ghana 2011, we noted that the university granted study leave with pay amounting to 1,868,638 to 8 members of staff, but the officers did not return to serve the university as required. We recommended that management should pursue the affected officers and their guarantors to refund the total amount of over 1 million Ghana cedis to the university. The report further states that the auditors noted that the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Gatti Ampia, entered into a 10-year build, own, operate and transfer agreement with KLEOS UK for the provision of information and communication technology services at a cost of $300,000 per year, totaling $3 million for the contract period, without seeking approval from the University Council, the Minister of Education, and the Public Procurement before committing the university to such financial obligation. The report added that the contract signed by the Vice-Chancellor was only witnessed by the Director of ICT Services, Dr. Regina Jampo Vidoga. Consequently, the Auditor General recommended that the Vice-Chancellor should submit the Build, Own, Operate and Transfer Agreement with KLEOS to the University Council, the Minister of Education and Public Procurement Authority for approval, failing which the sanctions in Section 92(1) of the Public Procurement Act shall be applied. In keeping with the tenets of fairness, Corruption Watch made unsuccessful attempts to reach authorities in the University of Cape Coast to react to these findings. It must, however, be noted that the Auditor General, in putting together his report, afforded all institutions the opportunity to respond to the issues raised.
Right, well, thank you, Enimwa, for that. Now, of course, that's a very detailed report there. Okay, so you've painted the picture for us of the rather disappointing way in which Ghanaian public institutions are managing taxpayers' money. So let's bring in Mr. Kofi Asare. I'm hoping we have him on the line. He's the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. Mr. Asare, good morning.
Hi, Kudo, good morning.
There
good
you
morning
are.
to your parent audience.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us. Now, first, let me inform you that the Africa Education Watch is an education policy research and advocacy organization. They've taken a keen interest in reports of the Auditor General, especially those touching on the education sector. Barely a fortnight ago, the Africa Education Watch released their analysis of the Auditor General's report on pre-university education institutions for the financial year ended 31st December 2019, and they did make some far-reaching recommendations. So, Mr. Asare, first of all, what's your general take on this 2019 Auditor General's report on the accounts of public boards, corporations, and statutory institutions?
I think generally it's a bit disappointing coming from 2018, where we did relatively well. We've seen a jump by about 84% in the quantum of infractions or irregularities between 2018 and 2019. Between 2018 and 2017, we actually improved. We were in the education sector, for instance, we were recording about 26 million total irregularities in 2017, and it reduced significantly to about 13 or so, and then suddenly it jumps up to 24. And that is why it is a bit disappointing, because the second reason why it's a bit disappointing is that if you look at the dimensions, we are virtually talking about the same dimensions of infractions. We are talking about contract and procurement irregularities. We are talking about cash management irregularities. And we are also talking about payroll irregularities. These are very, very basic irregularities that have always dominated the AG's reports for the past 15 years. And it is disappointing again in the sense that after passing the Public Financial Management laws and its related regulations and the Procurement Act, we are still struggling to implement these laws, which should have, averted all these infractions if properly implemented under the oversight of the boards of these institutions.
So let's zoom in on the education sector, where it would appear that every possible violation was found in the year 2019. Now, you've already done this, report, the pre-university report. I wonder, are you seeing some recurring themes here in what the Auditor General found?
Exactly. As I mentioned earlier, if you look at the trend, the dimensions of irregularities are the same. It is always dominated by, contract and procurement irregularities. In this year, for instance, we are talking of about 112% increment in procurement irregularities and about 26% increment in contract. If you add contract to procurement, that's about 65% of the total infractions. And so over the years, it's been the same authorities or persons responsible for managing public funds sidestepping the public procurement law, mainly paying people for no contract or overpaying people with contracts, and then terminating contracts, re-awarding them at a higher price without going through tender. These three are the three main forms of the procurement and contract breaches leading to all this irregularity. And so if you look at from the pre-university to the university, you have the UCC, for instance, awarding contracts without approval by the council, without approval by the Minister of Education and the Finance Minister, as prescribed in the Public Financial Management law, and also awarding contracts with sole sourcing methods without approval by the PPA in contravention of the Public Procurement Act. So these are regular things that happen, and they keep happening because obviously it happens and then people get away with them. Unfortunately, as I would say, politicians hardly get away with some of this, because if you are a politician and you are engaged in any form of malpractice or misprocurement, especially in relation to violation of the public procurement law, you are likely to face the consequences of criminal prosecution. But unfortunately, within the civil service, this has become a regular feature, and I think it is time for us to take a second look at how we seek redress in trying to instill discipline in our institutions. But let me indicate, before I progress, that this report is incomplete without a report from the Office of the President. I am saying so because if you read, now let me start it this way. The Office of the President holds the free senior high school budget. The free senior high school budget is about 25% of the total education budgetary envelope. And so it's a significant quantum of funds that ought to be accounted for. Now, if you read the findings in the pre-university audit report, you will find that throughout the findings, there are common findings, including food items meant to have been delivered to senior high schools, but not delivered. Okay, there were 9 schools, for instance, in 2 regions where food items valued at 170,000 Ghana cedis supposed to have been delivered to senior high schools were not delivered. Now, in the recommendation, the Auditor General recommends that the management of these schools who did not sign the contract, who are supposed to be only beneficiaries of the contract, should rather take action to ensure that Buffer Stock Limited delivers the outstanding food items. But listen, this is how the whole thing works. The free senior high school budget is lodged at the presidency, under the Office of the President. And so they are the budget holder. If you are tracking a contract irregularity or non-performance of a particular contract, it must come from where the budget is held, because these food items are funded by the free senior high school budget. And so if this contractor who was paid to supply this food did not supply them, the best place to trace it would be from where the budget holder is. And so the schools cannot go and chase someone who they did not give a contract to. In as much as buffer stock will play a key role in this, it's only a comprehensive audit of the free senior high school budgets, which is under the office of the president, that can give us an idea about what the real issues are relating to the delivery coordination of food contracts under the free senior high school, for which the buffer stock is playing an agency role. And so the education sector will have a complete view of how its largest funds, the free senior high school fund, is being used when we are given an opportunity to examine the audit reports of the office of the president, or if a special audit, either performance or financial audits or both, is conducted on the free senior high school account, maybe for the past 3 years, so that to give us an idea about how we are faring on the line of efficiency, economy, and effectiveness.
Okay. Let's talk about the recommendations made by the Auditor General for all of these infractions that they found in the 2019 report. Of course, I mean, you speak for an organization that has been keeping an eye on things like this. Africa Education Watch is an education policy research and advocacy organization. So tell me what your view is of the recommendations made by the Auditor General for all of these infractions that he's found. Are they adequate?
Well, the recommendations are virtually generic, asking management to retrieve cash that may not have been accounted for by officers, advising spending entities to be mindful or cautious of the public financial management laws and regulations, more or less advising them to conform, and all that. While it is important, and it's a formality, obviously, to ask them to recover cash that has not been accounted for from certain people or persons within the institutions, it is very important also for us to appreciate that for most of these recommendations, they are actually not, they are not tenable, in the sense that the same management that we are asking to ensure that persons who are found culpable or who are found to be complicit in some of these deals return the money are the same people who led in, prosecuting this irregularities. For example, payroll fraud. About 600,000 Ghana cedis went into payroll. I'm talking about where someone is overpaid. Okay, in various institutions, about 600,000 Ghana cedis went into this in the pre-university institutions alone. Now, if you ask this same management to recover the money, it's challenging, because the same management that signed documents knowing very well that the people were being overpaid. And so for most of the irregularities that management is being asked to fix or recoup the money, you realize that the architects or key players in these infractions or irregularities is management, itself. And that is one of the challenges. The second is that the Auditor General seems to be silent on recommending criminal prosecutions. Now, the reason why we are seeing the same dimensions of irregularities occurring year by year over the past 10, 15 years is simply because no one is going to jail for engaging in this kind of offenses, especially blatant disregard for public financial management laws and regulations and the public procurement law. These ones are straightforward disregard for the law, and the penalties are in the public procurement law, and then the PFMR. But you see, because no one is going to jail, and that we are always focusing on surcharging and disallowing, people still do not see engaging in this kind of business to be a risky business. And so we would have expected that recommendations to prosecute criminally some of the offenses for which evidence could be adduced before court would have been encouraging, so that IOCO, we know that the capacity of the AG is limited in this respect, but IOCO and other justice sector institutions with prosecutorial powers would have to support the Auditor General to pursue this agenda. I am happy that at the launch of this report, the Auditor General invited all the heads and the key players in the justice sector to actually have a discussion when the report was presented, so that IOCO, for instance, so that SHRAG, so that the Ghana Police Service, and then Attorney General Department, and all the other justice sector institutions would have known or would have had at forehand how enormous the task is, and the various rules, including the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the various roles that they can all play in supporting the Auditor General to prosecute those who may have been liable for, criminally undertaking certain actions. But we are not seeing the recommendations in the report, and that is one key thing that these agencies will have to critically look at. Until people begin going to jail beyond politicians, apart from politicians, until some civil servants begin going to jail for taking decisions that may have led to financial loss to the state, or obviously breaching procurement laws that they're supposed to adhere to, we will not see an end to the dimension of irregularities, especially within the contract and procurement category. Apart from that, in other countries where these things happen, you find that there are some sanctions meted to not only the heads of the management, the CEOs, and then accountants, but also the boards. You see, the Auditor General makes a good recommendation that the management, for example, of the senior high schools, which recorded infractions in to the tune of 24 million Ghana cedis, the senior high schools and the College of Education will have to be sanctioned by the GAS. That is fine. But beyond that, you see, there are boards constituted by the president and the Minister of Education, whose job is or was to ensure that management run these institutions consistent with law. This board sat down and saw this issue, which the Auditor General calls a breakdown in internal control, degenerate into what we are discussing today. It means that these board members who meet, who sit, who take allowances, and who are appointed to this board to serve the country, did not serve the country well. So what happens to them? I think that at least, persons who sat on any of these boards that recorded such serious infractions should be barred from holding any other board position in the public sector, because they, by their action or inaction, would have demonstrated to Ghanaians that they don't have the capacity to protect the public purse by sitting on public boards. That sanction is not in the recommendation, but I think that's a strong sanction that government will have to consider if we want to see or we want to read a different story next year.
Right. Now, you've talked a lot about, sanction and punishment, but I haven't heard you say much about what Parliament ought to do. This report is to be presented to Parliament. In the past, have you been satisfied with the role Parliament has played in following up on the irregularities that are reported? Can they do more, particularly in this 2019 report?
Indeed, we have been particularly worried about the approach to Parliament to this audit reports, in the past and the immediate present times. We have been worried because the PAC ordinarily will just constitute a meeting. They will invite the heads of these institutions where the infractions took place, and then they will come and explain, and then they will say, they will go and fix it, and then nothing happens. Now, I have actually had some discussions with CDD about how to support the Public Accounts Committee to have a system where that committee is not just a clearinghouse. That committee is not just a panel where people come, tell their stories, and then say, go and fix it, and then nothing happens. We want to move from that level to a level where we can have a mechanism that appraises the implementation of the previous year's audited reports on the basis of the decisions or the orders of the Public Accounts Committee hearing. So that before the Public Accounts Committee will sit in 2021, for instance, there should have been a report that appraises the implementation progress in respect of, first, the recommendations in the Auditor General's report for that particular year, and second, the orders of the PAC during their previous sitting, so that they will have the benefit of knowing whether their orders have been complied with by the institutions, one, or whether the recommendations that the Auditor General gave or made in the report that was considered are being or have been implemented. Without having this assessment report, there is no basis for the Public Account Committee having to appraise the relevance of its own committee meetings in the previous years. This year, the committee will meet again, and they will sit on this report, and they will invite the principal of Ola College of Education, and then they will ask him questions about how come he did ABC. They will invite Social College of Education, ask him how come they procured a loan without approval by the board and all that. They will ask them the questions, and they will say, they will go and they will seem no more, or they will go and fix it. The next year, nothing will happen. Another report will come, and so we need a system that actually evaluates the implementation of the previous year's auditor's report findings and the directives issued by the Public Account Committee of that same year, so that anytime the PAC meets, they will start the meeting by reviewing implementation progress with regard to their orders and the recommendations of the AG. Without that, the PAC meeting, for now, as far as we are concerned, is a clearinghouse, because they back, but they don't bite. It is only when they have evidence that the orders they gave in the previous year was not or has not been complied with that they can actually begin to bite. Until that is done, the PAC remains a clearinghouse. And so we are working, as I mentioned, we have already started engagement with the CDD on this, hoping that we'll get other parties who are interested to support government by also trying to report on the implementation progress on all the recommendations made by the Auditor General and also the Public Account Committee in the previous year's sittings and reports.
Okay. So right now, obviously, this money has basically evaporated from the system. 5.4 billion.
Well, it may not have completely vanished from the system or evaporated from the system. There are some that are actually monies unaccounted for because institutions have invested in some loans that they've not been able to recover. For example, the Student Loan Trust Fund has invested 10 million at the Gold Coast Securities. They have 10 million locked up in Gold Coast Securities, and they've not been able to recover it. And so, as and when the Student Loan Trust Fund is able to recover same, that money would have come back. And so some of the and especially the SNIT funds, for instance, that's a sizable chunk, about 3 billion. When the SNIT funds in the 16 institutions are all recouped, we should be in a better position. And so not all of the money has been lost per se, but some of the money has been lost. But I will not say that they've been lost. They've not been accounted for.
Well, the point is that this money is not available to us to use.
It's not available to us, but they are not lost, because we are going to find them.
All right.
Our job is to work with the institutions to find them. So they are not available to us. They've not been accounted for, but they are not missing at all. Our job is to find them, to work with government, work with the media, to find them. People who have been cited for being accountable for these funds. We're going to chase after them. We are going to go to Pong Senior High School and look for the headmaster and find out whether he has refunded the 136,000 Ghana cedis he took from students after converting half of the school into a hostel and charging them hostel fees without any approval. We are going to chase. Yesterday, we were at Impoho Senior High School to find out about the headmistress who, on her own volition, charged students up to a total of 35,000 Ghana cedis for sanitation fee, which is illegal under the Free Senior High School. We are told she has been transferred. Transfer is not enough. We need to refund our money. So we are following up on each and every action that led or that may have led to some loss so that we get our money back. But it's very important for us to know that the Auditor General says that all that we are discussing is due to one key factor, which is the breakdown of internal controls in our institutions. That, for me, is the biggest worry, because the Internal Audit Agency of Government has internal auditors in all these institutions, including the senior high schools, the universities. They have internal auditors in all the institutions whose job is simply to ensure that internal control mechanisms are in place and are functional or are complied with.
Right.
Now, our understanding of the situation is that because these internal auditors have been at post in these institutions for long, they have virtually become like staff. So the familiarity now has gotten to a level where when they advise management, they don't even take them. So we need to take a second look at the way we deploy these internal auditors. Can we have a system where internal auditors do not stay in institutions for, let's say, more than 1 year or 2 years, so that we cut that familiarity? We actually reduce the dangers posed by familiarity, so that when they advise, our management would rather heed to them, because they are not necessarily seen as part of us, but then they are external. Because the same advice, if we're given by external agents in the process of procurement, would have been heeded to. But because they normally come from internal auditors, they are normally seen as part of the institutions, and then they are ignored. So we need to look at how to strengthen the quality of internal auditors and their work in these institutions. Apart from that, there's a need to also strengthen the capacity of the boards in providing oversight on the implementation of two main laws, the Public Procurement Law and then the Public Financial Management Law and its regulations. If board members are not on top of the dictates of these laws, it will be difficult for them to ask questions and demand accountability from the heads or the management of these institutions in respect of their compliance to these laws. And it is the breach of these two laws which has occasioned the level of irregularity and infraction that we are discussing. And so the capacity of the new boards who are yet to be appointed will have to be enhanced in enforcing or ensuring quality oversight in these two laws, the Public Financial Management Laws and its regulations, and the Procurement Law. That will ensure that at least they have the capacity to be able to demand accountability in respect of compliance. It is when you have enhanced their capacity that you can actually take action when you realize that things are not going the way they should. But for now, we need to enhance the capacity of our boards. On the part of the management, it is difficult for me to understand why the head of a government agency under whose watch such procurement infractions have been recorded will still remain the head, or will still be moved to another agency to head same. It doesn't make sense. People who have demonstrated incapacity to manage public funds should not be given the opportunity to continue to manage public funds. It's as simple as that.
Well, I want to say a very big thank you to you for joining us today and enlightening us on this. Mr. Kofi Asare is the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. Okay, well, as we always do, we remind you that you have the power as the people of Ghana. And in our small way, all of us can help in the fight against corruption. Please reach out to Corruption Watch with 055 22 00033 or the WhatsApp number 055 22 00033. Of course, our partners on Corruption Watch are the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, GACC, Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, ASILA, and multimedia platforms, Joy FM and Adum FM. The sponsor of Corruption Watch is Danida. Anymore, I mean, this thing is is baffling.
It is, Kojo. And there's one thing that stands out to me over the course of doing Corruption Watch a few times is that our procurement process here in Ghana seems to have a bit of a problem. Not sure whether it's the process, whether it's the law, whether it's the implementation. Now, in the reports, contracts and procurements contributed 65% of this loss, So, for example, if the Vice Chancellor, as per the report of the University of Cape Coast, can decide, to give a $3 million contract to a company over the course of 10 years, which comes up to $30 million, and just has the head of ICT sign, and it goes through, and then it means that there are not enough checks and balances, because that was done, and the minister wasn't informed, and this person wasn't informed, and so you don't even know what process had gone through. There are not enough checks and balances when it comes to procurement, and there's always some sort of issue surrounding, procurement. We also know that the truth is that procurement is a place where things like inflated invoices happen, and where we give contracts that are not necessarily the best for the country and all of that. So if procurement is contributing 65% of this loss, this over 5 billion loss, then we really have to begin to focus our attentions on that. The other thing as well is the fact that the gentleman we spoke to mentioned that there's a breakdown in internal control. Again, checks and balances, so you have this person is a member of a board here, member of a board here, member of a board. He's failing at this, why are there no sanctions, so that people who have failed are not given the opportunity, again. So there seem to be, quite a few issues. A lot of it really has to do with enforcement and checks and balances. And my last point is just reiterating the fact that it's not just the CEOs, it's also the CEOs, the boards, the management. Everybody involved must be held accountable, so that it's not easy to say, I'm on the board, but this person was responsible, or just this person was responsible. I feel like if you feel like your neck is on the line, then you're more invested in making sure that things are done properly.
I'll tell you one thing that shocks me is that all these institutions have internal auditors.
He said.
Yes, and this is the thing that bothers me. Look, that large percentage attributed to procurement.
Contracts and procurement,
that's
65%.
Been a trend.
Yeah.
It's not a new thing for 2019. That's been the trend. It's almost always procurement
Exactly.
that allows most of our money to disappear.
Exactly.
Okay. So is it that internal auditors don't know this? So when they go to work, what do they look at? If 65% of the risk of the company you are auditing is in procurement, are you not looking at their contracts? Then what else are you looking at? What are you doing for a living? Right? How is it that these things are able to happen? How is it that two officers can sign a $30 million dollar contract?
And
while you work there.
Exactly.
You the internal, you are there.
Exactly. Commits the university to $30 million with absolutely no interference.
But Parliament will not call the internal auditor and ask him any questions. But how about the audit service? How about the audit service where all these internal auditors are employed? Instead of them checking somebody's retirement age, can they check that their internal auditors are doing their job? Can they do that? And if they don't, is there not a sanction for board members who are supervising an organization that can't do its job? Is there no sanction for them either? Why are we allowing this
to go on?
Indiscipline to go on?
5 billion.
5.4 billion cedis worth of indiscipline. Do you know what that money could do right now?
I do, actually.
We can't even buy vaccines. Do you know what that money could do? Look, oh goodness. We have to build 111 hospitals. And the budget gives us no sign of how we are going to afford them. Meanwhile, we are allowing this thing to happen in our institutions, where there are internal auditors who draw salaries and report to a board. Yeah, we tire. All right. We want to know what you think about this when we come back from these messages, okay? How is this fight against corruption going in Ghana? From your perspective, if $5.4 billion can just disappear, and it's an 81.8% increase
from the previous year.
Year. That's the direction we are going in. Leaping ahead.
Leaps and bounds.
81.8% at a time. That's the direction we are going in. I wonder what you think. When we come back, let's talk about it.
property for sale? Your property may need professional management. Do you have accommodation to rent out or simply looking for a place to rent? Renters Paradise, your professional landlords, offers you the best property management consultancy and services. Call us on 0551 955 366. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Renters Paradise GH. You can also visit our website, rentersparadisegh.com. Renters Paradise, your peace of mind assured.
It's time to meet again in historic landscapes. Have a safe journey to Europe with Turkish Airlines. Book your ticket now and fly until May 31st to enjoy special fares. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, please visit turkishairlines.com. Turkish Airlines, widen your world.
Melcom is at it again, oh. This time it is Melcom Easter Sale promo. Surprise your family, friends, and loved ones during this season of Melcom Easter Sale promo. Enjoy up to 50% discount on thousands of items at any Melcom shop nationwide. Promo starts from the 22nd of March 2021 to the 11th of April 2021. But remember, terms and conditions apply. Melcom, where Ghana shops.
My sweetheart Rita, what's up?
I'm thinking of my future now. I want to be the next IT guru in the world.
Wow! Then let's go study at IPMC College of Technology. All IPMC courses are industry-oriented with hands-on practical sessions.
Wow!
IPMC has trained thousands of students from West Africa since 1995. With IPMC, you can surely be the next IT guru.
Oh, yeah?
Enroll to study at Ghana's best IT training school and learn any of our world-class IT education courses. Software coding and programming, graphic and web designing, networking and infrastructure management services, digital marketing, undergrad program in information technology, and more. With our enhanced learning approach, you have the option of studying online or in our lecture room facilities for classroom learning. Register today and get your free tablet and 60 gigabytes data for 1 year. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, send us an email to training@ipmcghana.com or call 055 555 2222. IPMC College of Technology, training the next generation of IT experts.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
We've been working hard, but Babylon won't bring we down. Them can't tame we down, can pull we down. My fans give me this crown. When we start dancing, never them a fight we every day.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Me up again, let me wrap up again, let me top up again. Anyhow, we have to make this money today and we not go delay. Nobody can stop we now, cause we up in the sky and we fly like a plane. Get how you make we all stand up. Show Babylon say this how we play. Stand by one lie.
Or Bodo BD. That's one of my favorites. It's Fifi's favorite. Actually.
I see. Well, good morning, Fifs. You're right.
You know, planning a bingecation, staycation, or famcation are the options available to us.
Vacation.
Yeah. Well, that's your extra choice there for this Easter. Now, whatever your plans, game stores have your holidays sorted with their unbeatable Eastercation deals. It's a vacation. Get the Beko Steam Iron for only 110 cedis, or the Mainstays 12-piece stainless steel pot set for only 485 cedis. View more deals at gamestores.com.gh or just go to your nearest game store. Deals are valid until the 7th of April. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, you know, as always, MTN wants you to experience the safest and most secure way to enjoy MTN Momo. That's why from the 2nd of April, you will be required to present a valid national ID card anytime you visit a Momo agent point to perform a transaction. Please note that this is to help you keep receiving cash and just handling your transactions in a safe and secure way. That's why we're good together. Just Momo it everywhere you go.
Now, if you're watching TV on a flat screen, then you really need to get it in clearer and brighter high definition quality, 5 times better than the standard definition, by getting the new HD Plus decoder today from the nearest authorized dealer or any Electroland showroom across the nation, and enjoy the feely experience on your HD TV like never before. Go to hd-plus.com.gh or call 0242 439 872 for more details.
Another thing you need to do is go to Johannesburg, which is the heartbeat of South Africa. Built by dreams and ambition, this city will invite you to experience its rich history. But Joburg is not only history, it's Amapiano. It's the richest square mile in Africa. It's the bustling of the taxis taking you to Soweto for Chisanyama. This city was made to wake up, shop, dance, and do it all over again. You can revel in the high life in Johannesburg for 5 nights from as little as 8,200 Ghana cedis, including flights, transfers, and meals. Terms and conditions apply. Make Johannesburg your personal playground and feel the energy of the dream chasers. For this and more Easter deals, visit www.southafrica.net. South Africa, come journey with us.
Now, listen, keep your text messages coming through. They are brought to you on the Super Morning Show by Glyco-Critical Illness Plan. GSIP, it's in your best interest to survive. And at Glyco Life, they believe that this is time to protect your future with their life insurance policies. Okay, so these policies are great, designed especially for you in the COVID-19 era. Now, your claims are important, so go to any of their offices or glycolife.com to lodge your claims for prompt service. And of course, pay your premiums via your chosen mode of payment or by Momo on 0591 441 473, or you could do it by e-premium for microinsurance to safeguard your policies. The call center is ready for you on 0202 222 113. Contact them via their digital channels if you prefer. Now, they care for your safety, so they are implementing the Ghana Health Service recommended COVID-19 protocols in all their offices. So please practice social distancing, keep safe, and trust Glycolife to cushion you for life.
I'm so happy I get to do this one, planning a bingecation, staycation, or famcation, a samcation, and a vacation from Sammy on Elfcation, a vacation from Elvis. Well, whatever your plans, Game Stores have your holidays sorted with their unbeatable Eastercation deals. So pop into Game Stores, go to their website, gamestores.com.gh, or pop into the Game Store. These deals are valid until 7th April. Terms and conditions apply. And remember to wash your hands frequently and with soap and running water, not water and running soap. Rewash your hands several times a day, especially after touching everything, including your phone or laptop. Use sanitizer when you can't wash your hands. Wash fresh groceries and clean and disinfect surfaces like countertops, door handles, furniture, toys, laptops, and mobile phones with alcohol-based disinfectants.
You're so evil.
Yes.
Do you know the kind of cation I would like?
What kind of cation?
A Labadi Reach Resort cation.
Okay, well, we're moving on to hear some messages from our friends whilst we ponder on the occasions.
Hey, big man, have you been to West Hills Mall lately?
Wow! Well, I'm the presenter and I usually ask the question.
West Hills Mall, they have the best stores all in one place.
Do you know more than I do? They have service providers like Vodafone, Rent Air, First National Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and they are ready to serve you better.
They have a well-secured car park.
Oh, West Hills Mall!